Hey everyone, today we're talking about becoming celebrated, managing risks in retirement. The first thing I want to talk about is longevity. My name is Isaiah Goodman, Chief Financial Advocate at Becoming Financial. Now, I know everybody wants to retire as early as possible, live the life, right? When we start looking at the numbers, we might say, well, maybe I need to work a little bit longer. And especially nowadays, when I talk to my clients, they say, I don't know if I'll ever see myself actually retiring. I want to keep working as long as I can. Now, that's all well and good, but the biggest issue is health. So one of the big problems nowadays is not that you can't work because you're not able to, mentally, but a lot of times it's physically. There's just something that you say, I can't do this anymore. I have to retire early. So today I want to talk about a couple considerations with longevity in retirement. Number one, think about modern medicine. If you're able to live a longer life, that means your retirement is going to be longer. So if you find your number, we've talked about this in previous posts, say you need $1 million for retirement. Well, I would add a couple percent to that because it's likely that if you were to retire at 62, nowadays you're living till 82, 85, 90 is very realistic. That's something to consider. Whereas, in years past, you might have retired at 62 and lived until your mid 70s. So something to be thoughtful of is how can we stress test our retirement? You can work with a financial planner and run a couple scenarios to say, if I live this long, how much will I actually need? Number two, consider the cost of healthcare. Now, this is a big shock for people. They've been working their whole lives. They retire, they get the big celebration, the cake, all of that, but then they get that first healthcare insurance bill. Well, for all of their working years, if they worked as a W-2 employee, their employer might have paid half or more of their healthcare costs, the monthly and annual premiums. Well, once you're out on your own, you might not get that luxury. Now you have to pay for the whole thing yourself. So you might think, hey, I can live on exactly what I live on today. Well, now if you add a healthcare expense, all of a sudden that number starts to go up on your monthly annual budget. It starts to run some risks in your longevity in retirement. And then, of course, last thing is if you do live too long, what if you have some sort of inflation? So the longer you live, the more that costs go up. When you start your retirement, maybe milk costs a couple bucks a gallon. And by the time you finish retirement, milk is up to $6, $7, $8 a gallon. Who knows where it'll go someday? That's a big consideration. If you look at inflation, it's about 3%. The rule of 72 says you take 72 divided by 3. I'll let you figure that out. And the answer is how many years it takes for your money to double, right? So in that case, you take 72 divided by 3. The answer is how many years it'll take for inflation to double the cost of goods. So if you have a 20-year retirement, something to be really thoughtful for. Last thing, long-term care and or hospice or nursing home care. If you're living too long, with modern medicine nowadays, you might be able to say, hey, I have to stop working at 62 for healthcare reasons. But you still live to 82, 85, 90 because of medicine. It might not be the highest quality, but it might be something that, it keeps you alive. But those expenses could be really, really high in a nursing home, hospice care, or in-home health care. So just some things to think about. Overall, you want to make sure you find your number, do that stress test, think about health care, and then think about things like inflation and long-term care.